What is up, everybody? Scott here. Welcome back to another episode of the Daily Fill. And today we are going to talk about confusion, hence the title, Dazed and Confused. It's kind of a throwback to Matthew McConaughey, too. Such a good actor. So amazing. It's fantastic. If you haven't seen Interstellar, that's a pretty wicked movie. But anyways, so confusion. Let's define confusion. Confusion is a lack of understanding. Let's see, what else is there? A state of being bewildered or unclear in one's mind about a topic. The Latin root word is confundere, and it means to pour together, to mix together, and with that mixture you create something new. So there's also, within this confused definition, there's also a positive outcome to it because you're pouring something together in order to create something brand new. And we've all been there. Like every single thing that we learn, we start from this place. And I think that's the most difficult part as a musician, and in particular a drummer, is that every little thing that we learn, it's like restarting. Now, over time, sure, you'll be able to learn things and put it together faster, but it's like, even if I've been playing jazz for 20 years, or I've been playing gospel music or rock music, there's always going to be something, if I have to go and learn a new song, there's always that state where it's like, you know what, I don't know what's going on here. Now, in this lesson, we're going to talk about how to get past that, and very quickly, I will add. A way to break through this is to understand that the state of confusion is only brief, and if you take the appropriate steps, it could take you minutes to get through that state of mind. And two is that with everything, like I said before, with everything we learn, we have to start over. Well, let's break down the technical stuff that would entail. When you're first learning rudiments, even if you're continuing to learn rudiments, there's always that thing where it's like, you know what, I can't do that downstroke, and you might be confused as to why you're not getting those downstrokes in the right spot. But anyways, rudiments, fills, a new beat, coordination exercises, a new style, a new fill, reading new rhythms, reading new combinations of rhythms, sight reading, listening to a song, transcribing. I mean, the list just goes on and on. You can get into tech stuff, like drum tech stuff, mixing, microphones, tuning drums, electronic kits, how to record yourself, video, audio, video editing, audio editing, and so much more. I sound like a commercial because the list just keeps going on and on. And then another thing you want to be aware of, because this whole series is about self-awareness, is that you want to understand the musicians you're playing with. Are they confused in their own material? And can you help them get out of that confusion? I know I've played several gigs where, maybe the bass player doesn't quite know what's happening, so I need to be more aware and help him out during that process. So those are some things that you need to be aware of. How well do I know this material, and how well do my other musicians know the material? Is there anything they're still confused on? Fourth is how to overcome it. And fifth is to just be diligent. If you're diligent, you'll be able to push through that. But let's get into the heart of this lesson, which is how to get past the confusion and how to get past that state of being confused. The first tip that I put here is to research. Research is huge. So if you are trying to learn a new fill, what does that mean? How are you going to research a new fill if you have it right in front of you? Well, maybe you have to research how it goes first, really look at it, analyze it, study it. Those are two more tips. But before I even start to play anything, and I tell my students this, before I even start to play anything at all, I take a look at it and I try to break it down before I even play it. And maybe when I go to play it, the first time is just without time. I'm not worried about keeping time with a metronome. I'm not even really worried about anything else that's happening. I'll just count out loud to make sure I'm landing in the right spots. And I'll just play it super slow. I'll be like 1, E, and, 2, E, and like just really slow and counting it out loud. And I think that's huge. Researching, studying, and analyzing it before you even sit down to play. That's a massive action to take in your own practice, because now you are going to understand that if my mind is confused, the only way I'm going to get past that is I have to sit down, research it, study it, analyze it before I even play it. If I try to play it without doing those 3 steps first, it's like if I just threw papers up in the air, it's just going to be total chaos. You don't want that in your practice routine. You want to be very diligent, very organized, and orderly. This will help your brain learn things quick, and it'll also just help you be very time conscious and efficient with your, probably, if you're like me, your very little practice time. So the first thing you want to do is look at it, research it. If there's anything you don't know, research it. If there's stuff you do know, study it, analyze it, figure it out, play it really slow first. And you'll be surprised if you do those 3 steps before you even go to practice it, you will get over that barrier very, very fast. The 5th thing is some steps on just being diligent. And it's more of a mindset, right? A lot of what I talk about is mental mindsets when you sit down to practice. Being diligent is a mental mindset, but I'll give you some tips on how to be diligent. One is I have a little note in front of my practice kit that's taped on my wall. The first thing I tell myself is just always be a student. Never stop learning. Those are the 2 things, and it's kind of the same point, but always be a student, never stop learning. If you have that mentality, then you'll understand that those steps I talked about before, research, study, and analyze, will help you in your quest of mastery of whatever instrument you're playing. In our case, it's for drums, but all of this stuff, guitar players can use this, bass players can use this. So when you're rehearsing with your bands, whether you're in band at school or you're in a jazz band, whatever, you can walk up to the trumpet player and be like, hey man, if that passage is giving you some trouble, take a look at it first, break it down in your head, count it out loud, try singing it, and then play it. Don't even play it unless you know what's happening, because your brain has to know what's happening, or else you're just going to be confused the entire time. So never stop learning is a huge mindset that I hold in my back pocket. It's almost like having a chip on my shoulder, because I want to be a great drummer. And there, again, there's no such thing as best drummer, but I want to be the greatest drummer that I can be. And for me, that mentality of always studying and always wanting to be better will just prove in the long run that I will get better, as long as I understand that, you know what, I'm always a student. There's certain things I can master, but then there's certain things that I can always go back and clean up. So this is a short lesson just because this topic isn't too broad, it isn't too wide. But just to recap, a state of confusion is definitely a short-term thing. You can get over it very quickly if you use those 3 steps. Research it first. If you know nothing about it, research it. Then study, analyze it, play it slow, and then get into your practice routine. That way you can mold it into your playing and make it part of you. And again, it's not a negative thing. Remember the Latin root word? What was that? Confundere? I'm probably butchering how do you say that. But anyways, their meaning of it was to pour together to create something new. So just remember, as you pour it together, everything's gonna be like smudge at first. You know, if you think about making a cake, you put all the mixture into the bowl, it just looks like a bunch of mud. But then all of a sudden you bake it, and it's this sweet, delicious, fantastic dish that you can eat, and it's amazing, right? Cake is absolutely amazing. And That's what it's like. You're pouring it all together to create something new and better than you had before. So don't be too confused out there. Break it down, research it, analyze it, study it, take it slow, and then get into the practice routine and make it part of your vocabulary. Again, thank you for all of our listeners. Thank you for everyone who's watching. We do appreciate you. We wouldn't be here without our fans, without our listeners. And remember, if you know someone that can benefit from this information, send them a link. Tell them, hey, you should check out this podcast. It says Drummers I Like, but the information can work for anyone. Tell them about us. Let us know what you think. You can send us a message. We have a new thing going on. Send us a message and we will get back to you. Send us your biggest struggles with performance or practice, however you want to think of it, with your playing abilities. Send us your biggest struggle, your biggest question with playing, and 2, your biggest question with business, and we'll send you some tips on how to overcome those. But you got to send the messages. You got to take massive action. You just got to do it, okay? So for this week, your goal is, actually, you could say this as an affirmation. I am not confused because I research, study, analyze, take it slow, and practice. So, having said that, I'll see you next week. Go practice and take care.